on African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome everybody! You are here looking at a wonderful herd of African buffalo and we are live on Safari Live.
Ready.
Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. Hello everybody and welcome. For those of you who have never watched the show before, my name is Tayla and on camera we've got Brian with an interesting thumb this afternoon. Have a look at that. Isn't it crazy? Have you ever seen a shark on safari before? I have never. It is a first by a wonderful buffalo herd of all different shapes and sizes. We've got males, we've got females, we've even got a few oxpeckers on the backs of the buffalo. Unfortunately, they are crossing out of our traverse. How cheeky of them. But it's quite nice to start the drive like that with one of the great big 5 animals. So anybody who has never watched the show, I'm now speaking to the viewers who have never seen this before. What are the big 5? And once again, we are situated on Nkuhuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands in the heart of South Africa. And it is a lovely warm day. It's about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. How great is that? The sun's out. I'm full of sunscreen as I don't want to burn. It's very important when you come on safari. And the buffalo are now moving away from us. That's kind. With a oxpecker, a drongo, fork-tailed drongo that just flew across your screen earlier. And now they are just munching away. So remember, if you'd like to ask us any questions or comment, you are welcome to either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or please email us your questions at questions@WildEarthTV. For those of you who also haven't really got to know me just yet, I'm running a competition, not really a competition, there isn't a prize involved, it's just for fun, and it's called Bums of Africa. Now a lot of you have been asking, where can we send our footage or your screenshots of the bums of the different species of animals? Well, I have finally set up a Twitter page, so you are welcome to search me and tag me in your tweets. It is at Tay_Mcurdy, MCCURDY. And I'm thinking of making a fantastic calendar. Also, if you've got anything else we could possibly call it, please swing your little title in there too. That'd be really great. I'm going to quickly try and reposition, seeing as the buffalo are moving into the thicket. And guess what else we have? We've got Jamie in the tent this afternoon. I think we're going to switch on over to her and see what she's up to. Enjoy!
Jamie in the tent indeed, and I'm like a child that's just been set loose in a toy store. This is very, very exciting. It's my first time ever being in the tent. James has just given me a thorough run through of how everything works, which of course means I'm going to mess up everything as we go along. But come and see, because this is the first time I've ever done this and I'm really, really excited to get going. First of all, they've set me loose with the ability to draw things, which those of you familiar with my artistic skills will know is going to be an absolute disaster, but it could end up as being as funny as James and his hippo that he once drew. And I should also say that this afternoon, just in terms of new things, Eggsy, is this your first time in the tent?
No, second.
Second time in the tent. Okay, so at least one of us has done this before. That's going to be thoroughly entertaining. Eggsy is called Eggsy, I can't even remember why. His actual name is Zander, and he's on camera with me this afternoon on your live safari experience. So what we've got set up here, to the best of my understanding, is a treasure trove, a little bit graveyard-ish. We've got a slight sort of overemphasis on the whole bone thing, but that's okay because the anatomy of animals is fascinating. And at some point during this afternoon's sunset safari, I'm going to be putting together a giraffe leg that James headed out and found sometime between drives this morning. It's somewhere over there. It's going to be hilarious. It's going to be like putting together a puzzle. And because I'm not the size of Brent, or the height of Brent is most importantly the factor there, it's going to be thoroughly hilarious. I might even try and pick up the elephant bone that's also there. So we've got this amazing treasure trove. I want to try the microscope first because I have been wanting to try. Oh, I do have to tell you something though. They don't trust me enough to drive Ronald the Rover. I'm devastated. You know the part that I was looking forward to the most? Ronald the Rover's remote is sitting over there behind Gerald the giraffe, and I'm not allowed to do anything with it. Which is fair enough, because the first time I ever drove the Rover, I got it kicked over by an elephant. Or an elephant kicked it over, and that wasn't my fault at all. But either way, I don't have the best reputation with Ronald the Rover, so fair enough. But I have been wanting to play with this microscope since I first saw James touching it. I haven't been able to come into the tent. I haven't even been able to watch James in the tent, because I've been busy driving. So, I'm going to try and look at a piece of quartzite that we have here. And look at that, haven't I put it amazingly in focus? Isn't that incredible? Oh, whoops. I touched something wrong. It's all gone very blurry. There we go. Look how crystal that is. Isn't that amazing? That's not a stone that we have much of, or that we see much of in the Sabi sand, at least parts of Juma. I've never ever looked at them under a microscope before, and I've been dying to do that. I must actually ask James where that rock is that I found for him, because that I'm dying to get under the microscope. I found it on Cheetah Plains, and it is pitch black in color, so it's obviously a basalty type material, but it's got these veins of quartzite running through it, and I'm dying to get it under the microscope. Right, Kirsty's telling me to send you back over to Tayla. What she's telling me Tayla's got, I have no idea, so it's going to be a surprise for all of us.
Look at what we have found. So, for those of you who have been following us on Safari Live and are regular viewers of the show, you will know that I've been helping James out in the tent for the last few days, which has been loads of fun. He's a great mentor. I've been learning a lot for him. And I don't know if you just had a quick glimpse of what was on your screen. It looked like a bundle of leaves, a bit of spider webs. That's actually a spider's nest. And I unfortunately didn't get to find one of these particular spiders. I managed to find a variety of other spiders. And that nest is made by a group of spiders called community nest spiders. So it's not just one spider that is living in that wonderful nest. It is a whole lot. They can have up to about 100 or so in there. So if I were to go over and tap it with a stick, I'm pretty sure a whole lot of little spiders would come out, but I don't want to disturb them. I don't think we can really see any on the outskirts, but they're quite small little spiders. And notice how there's actually quite a few leaves wrapped around that web, and often in the winter months they'll actually add some more insulation, so that's what those leaves are doing. They'll pack that sort of web nice and tightly with all the leaves just to help shelter from the wind, from the cold, and it's a great little home. I don't know if I'd like to live in there, but they're amazing. They catch quite big sort of insects for relative to the spider's size. So they catch things like moths, a cricket if it manages to get up in there, lots of flies I'm sure, which I'm sure everybody would be thankful for, that they eat lots of flies. And they all work together. So if something gets stuck in that web, they'll all come on around and attack it and bite it and eventually wrap it up, especially if it's something big and they need maybe a helping hand to wrap the insect up. But yeah, just thought I'd like to show you that, considering I only showed you actual spiders and I didn't show you where they lived. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave the spider now, the spider's nest, and we're going to carry on down the road. I believe we haven't seen a spotted cat for a while. It's definitely something I'd like to follow up on. So I'm just having a check on the cut line. I love to check the cut line just to make sure if any other leopards haven't crossed in this afternoon. If not, if I don't pick up on anything, who doesn't love lion cubs? That's probably something that's going to be on the agenda for today. It's quite warm, so they may be sleeping, but we're going to head basically east now and just have a little mosey on. So if any of your viewers see anything that I don't see, let us know. Right. It's a lovely day. So there's some ongoing bets at the moment. I'm sure you all have heard of the rain bets as to when we're going to have rain. Everybody got very excited yesterday as the clouds came over, and the clouds are still here, but nothing really too threatening. As you can see, they're all situated quite high in the sky. You're going to also see bits of blue coming through, and we actually don't have very much wind today, which is fantastic. We really like that. Hopefully we're going to get some good game viewing, which will be wonderful. So excuse me while I dangle my head over the side of the vehicle. Just want to have a look for footprints, just to make sure that nothing has crept on over, because I think if Brian and I find some fresh leopard tracks coming south, we're probably going to try and follow up on them. If not, like I said, I think we'll stick to the lions, because we know they were on a buffalo kill and they should hopefully still be around. It'll be nice to also see some vulture activity. Hopefully maybe they've come through. So far no luck just yet. What else is happening? Just remember everybody, we are live at the moment, so you're welcome to interact with us. Come on, send us some questions, send us some comments. I can't wait to get to know all of you a little bit better. I'm starting to remember a few of the names that are popping up when you do send through questions, so I'm very much looking forward to getting to know those of you who are not familiar with the show. So please, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or once again you can email us questions at at WildEarthTV. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I had like a brain spasm for a second there. I just couldn't remember what I was supposed to be saying. I think it's the blonde hair sometimes. Rightio. No, lots of buffalo tracks coming in and out. We got to see some actual buffalo, which is obviously much better than just seeing their footprints. A little marula tree. Let's actually have a look at this wonderful marula tree. This is quite a big marula tree that we've got above us. Look at it, it's quite nice actually. I love marulas. My favorite time of the year, however, to see marulas is usually when they start to, just before they lose their leaves go from being green to lovely and yellow. And I think with the beautiful clear blue skies that we often get just before winter, so sort of just before June, it makes for such a pretty photograph. And the bark is lovely and textured as well. You can see, almost looks like golf balls have actually hit the tree. That's how I remember it, and how I remember learning about marula trees. And soon we're going to get fruits, hopefully, once the leaves start to develop. We have only got a few months to go. I know in the southern sections of the Sabi Sands, normally around, now I've got to remember, February, March, we tend to see a lot of fruit dropping from the trees, and that's great because I like to eat them all. I get a big packet and I fill them up and I keep them just to wait a few days, 3 or 4 days until they're nice and ripe, and then I'll eat them. And something that I never got to try was actually marula beer, and apparently it's absolutely delicious. We have got a big truck coming towards us. We're on a cut line. I just want to pull off the road and let these gentlemen pass. I'm not going to argue with that truck. It's much bigger than us. Off they go. Bye-bye. Wave to the nice people. And now we will carry on back on the road. Use the microscope now, and let's see what she's maybe got for us under that.
When I was a kid, I went with my dad on a medical conference to London, and I think I was 11 or so, 10 or 11 or so, which obviously he wasn't going to let me loose in the big city, because as a South African child, wandering around the streets of a big city is something that we never did growing up. So he dumped me in the Natural History Museum for a good 5 days straight, and I had an absolute ball. And I don't think I've ever actually had fun ever since until this exact moment. I've forgotten what fun is like. So I've got access to a microscope. First of all, I've just been taking everything and putting it under the microscope. It's thoroughly entertaining. First of all, I wanted to have a look at this blue waxbill nest that we found. I say we, was found on bushwalk. I played no part of that. With a little baby waxbill that had been impaled on the thorns. I assume that has since been cut away. It was very macabre. It was terribly sad looking. The amazing thing is actually what I wanted to talk to you about was because Tayla was talking about the community nest spiders. And what I've noticed about these amazing little birds, so this is a bird's nest for our newer viewers. The amazing thing about them is that they use spider webs as a part of their camouflage. So this is all spider webbing around the outside. And what that means is that it is beautifully, beautifully held together, because of course the spider web is the strongest, one of the strongest materials we know of on Earth. It is something ridiculous, like 7 times as the tensile strength of steel. And I was watching this amazing documentary about how incredible a spider web silk actually is. Now I want to put it under the microscope, and you'll have to bear with me because I don't really know what I'm doing. So we're going to pop that there. Please don't blow away, nest. Right, now it looks a little bit like... Oh, there we go. Here we go. Trying to focus, that's what I'm looking for. The spindles of that spider web. Now the cool thing about this, of course, is the wax ball had to get it from somewhere, and that's where the connection ties in to Tayla and her spider web. And what wax balls... Whoops, I'm sorry, my thumb slipped. Oh dear, it's all gone wrong. There you go, you can see how finely layered it is all over, all around the nest. Oh, this is much trickier than I thought it was. Bravo to James for making this way easier than it actually is. Is that a little tick in there? No, it's just a piece of dirt. You can see how intricate the layers around the nest are. And what's really cool about that is the fact that the blue wax ball got it from somewhere and probably raided things like that community nest and wrapped the webbing around it and then used it as building material. And what you often see with wax ball nests, and I'm talking about a tiny little bird, tiny, tiny little bird that hops around, is that they build their nests that look just like this right next to community nest spiders. So that web that Tayla was showing you, I mean, you can see how that would disappear. And as a result, a predator might be fooled into thinking, oh, I'm not going to bother with that, it's just full of really tiny spiders and not very much else. Very clever approach. Something that I find absolutely... I'm, of course, going to break something while I'm in here. I'm utterly terrified. This is James and Geraldine's project back here, and I'm so scared I'm going to destroy something. Tom, in England, you are asking a question about a bird. You are asking a question about how far a certain bird goes down into Africa. A house martin. There we go. Oh, look, it comes up on the screen. This is amazing. This tent is such an adventure. A house martin. Now I can read it instead of having to rely on poor Kirsty. You wanted to know how far down it goes because it's found in several other countries. Right down towards Johannesburg, in fact, and probably even further south. I'm not 100% sure as to just how far south it goes. I know that we get... I have not seen one while I've been in Juma, but I definitely know that we've seen them around Johannesburg. So that gives you a sort of a vague idea as to just how far it extends. Right, I wanted to play with something else. I remember now. I sat down for a reason, and the big reason... Oh, there's a spider there. This is endlessly entertaining. The big reason is because if you move this microscope around too much, and you get the shakes... I don't know how James manages this. Where's the spider? That's a piece of sand. Yes, James has the hands of a surgeon. Absolutely, Kirsty. I don't... Oh, there he is! There he is! I see him! This is endlessly entertaining. Oh, this is so cool. Look at the mite on the far left. Bottom left corner. Didn't even see that. Didn't even know that it was there. And suddenly I understand the bottle of hand sanitizer that is now living in the tent far better, because now I'm seeing all of the things in such great detail. And perhaps I will be more inclined to use it in the future myself. Of course, we are, as human beings, covered in microscopic mites. From our eyelashes to our eyebrows to our fingernails and toenails. We wouldn't exist, or they couldn't exist without us, and we may well not exist without them. Human beings and all living things are quite gross when you get down to the microscopic. I love the spider though. This has been so much fun. Okay. Oh. The only thing is you're sort of prone to, if you focus too much, on the screen in front of you, you actually get a bit prone to motion sickness with the sudden withdrawal. Right. I believe that Tayla is on a mission driving around. It looked like she was on before, so Cutline, I don't know exactly where she is now. Let's go and find out from her exactly what's happening.
Mmm, delicious. I've just got a whiff of something most terrible. I think we could be close to these lions. I'm not sure where they were. I got told sort of what road they were near, but I got a little smell, which is not so great. So I presume we cannot be too far away. Ah, Brian has spotted the carcass, the buffalo carcass, which is in there. Now, you can have a look at it, and you see it there on your screens hiding behind some trees. That is a buffalo carcass. That's exactly what I could smell. Now we just need to work out where the lions are. I wonder where they are. Brian was saying that they were down in the drainage line. Ah, well spotted. That looks like a hooded vulture. Hidden away over there. I cannot even see it. So let me just go back a bit. Will you be able... Oh, no, actually, let me go forward a little bit. And then I think we may get a better view. How's that? Better? Or more? Have a look at it there. We have many different vulture species. We're quite fortunate actually to see so many vultures. And this is indeed a hooded vulture. I want to just quickly have a look at something. I think if I'm not mistaken, it is the smallest vulture that we see in this area. Let me just have a look. Go to my little bird book. 90. There's lots and lots and lots of different types of vultures. The ones we see most commonly are the white-backed. We see, of course, the hooded. We see the lappet-faced, and occasionally quite a special vulture, a white-headed vulture, which I've only seen, I think, about 2 or 3 times. Actually, I've never seen it while I've been on safari with guests. It's always been when I've been on my own safaris. So that wonderful little hooded vulture is indeed the smallest species that we see in this particular area. I'm going to quickly have another little look at it. It's just the one. I'm surprised that the other vultures haven't arrived yet. Maybe the lions are still lying close by. We're going to venture in just now. Just need to work out whereabouts they are laying. And they've got quite a big wingspan though, considering their size. So their wingspan is anywhere between 1.6 and about 1.8 meters. So that's quite big if you're just looking at that bird. Often their wingspan is much larger than what the bird actually is. Also, I don't know if you know this, I haven't actually seen vultures for a while. I saw them the other morning, but they were all flapping around and they were just sort of white-backed vultures. But can you believe it that there's actually a pecking order or a hierarchy when there is a kill? So it depends on a few factors. So if the birds are soaring around and they find, say, a buffalo that's died of natural causes also because of this drought, which is not uncommon at the moment. We're seeing quite a few buffalo that have succumbed to the sort of very nasty weather that we've been having at the moment. Nasty being that there's been a lack of rain, and they say nothing else has really opened the carcass. These little hooded vultures actually have to come around and maybe peck at the eyes. If the mouth is open, they'll eat the tongue, and then they'll start to also eat around the sort of anus. And, big yawn. And then that bird is going to have to wait until another vulture comes with a bit more of a robust beak. And in that case, it will be a white-backed vulture. That's also another very common one, as I said. So they'll come through, they've got quite a robust beak, and they'll be able to tear open the hide of the buffalo. And they will start munching away. And then everybody else can start eating. So James Bear wants to know, hello James as well, hope you're having a great afternoon and thank you for watching the show. James wants to know why the numbers of the vultures are down in the Sabi Sands. I wasn't actually aware of that. I thought it was normal. I thought there've been quite a few vultures around at the moment because of the drought and all the dying animals. However, I know that throughout South Africa, vultures are unfortunately being poached. So I'm not sure if this applies. I haven't really heard of this thing I'm about to tell you happening in the Sabi Sand, but a lot of vultures are being poisoned. So what will happen is in the outskirts or in other game reserves, people are coming in, poachers are coming in, and say for instance they're shooting a rhino, but they're then also poisoning the rhino carcass, so that when the vultures come through, the vultures will eat the carcass and then they will die. And they are using vultures for a variety of traditional medicines, I suppose you could say. Now, a sangoma, or a witch doctor, as maybe you know that, but we call them some sangomas. They believe that the head of the vulture, if you keep the head of the vulture, it will help you see into the future. Obviously, vultures have got fantastic vision. This is obviously, I don't believe that it's true, but there are some people in different cultures that do believe in things like this. So they're being used for a variety of traditional medicines. I'm sure they'll use the feathers for something and the different body parts. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to ask some of the locals what they are using different parts of the vultures for. So that could be maybe one of the reasons. I hope that answers your question, James. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, I haven't really heard of too many of the vulture numbers in this particular area dropping as of yet. But I know in the surrounding areas, in the outskirts, especially sort of just further south of us, there have been quite a few. So actually in the Limpopo province, so around Hoedspruit, all those farms over there, there's been a lot of poisoning of the vultures, which is very, very sad. So yes, everybody always talks about rhino poaching, but as I've just said, there's other animals that get poached too. Lions, you name it, everything is being poached. If we carry on like this, we're going to have no animals to view left. We'll have nothing. So come on, guys, we need to protect the animals. We need to educate people and help everybody understand why it's important to look after and preserve our wildlife. Not just the animals, but the flora too. It's super important. I think what we're going to do now is I'm going to try and navigate and see if we can find these lions. Let's have a little look here. Brian, what do you think? Where were they this morning? Down there. Oh no. So we need to find somewhere where we can get in. Let's go back a little bit. I see there's a little clearing behind us which we're going to try and just sort of go down in. Let's see if that is the right way to go. They could have moved as well. Wait. Aaron would like to know, sorry everybody, Aaron, I'm going to respond to your question now. I just want to quickly navigate through. It's not particularly thick, but I just want to have a look and see what we're going for. Okay, I see there's a track there. That's probably going to be our best option. Right, let's just have a quick little look through here. Oh, goodness. It's a bit thick in here. Oh, and it's very smelly, very, very stinky. Oh, I can see lion dung. We'll try not to drive on that because that is not pleasant. I can see the lions, everybody. Look, Brian. Oh, they're right in front of us. Okay, now we need to do some positioning. Hope the wind is on our side and we don't get too much of a carcass smell. Let's see if we can... How are you going, Brian? A little bit further forward. See, we've got a female lion just down in front of us, so I don't want to disturb her too much. Let me put my nose in over here, and I think we may get a little gap. I'm going to park myself in the bushes. How's that? Can you see through those branches over there? It's a bit tricky. Let's see. Very difficult. Very difficult indeed. Okay, we're going to reposition. We need to reposition. So, okay, Aaron, I'm going to get back to your question as soon as we come back. I very quickly just want to reposition and figure out how I can do this without disturbing this female lion. Jamie's in the tent, tenting away.
Jamie's in the tent? Isn't that a weird sentence? It's not something I've ever really thought I'd ever hear before. Oh goodness, those screens are so distracting. I'm in 3 different places. This is really horrifying. Now, James told me not to look at them. That's very much easier said than done. Right, moving on. So, we got a very valid point that was brought up, was the fact that it's Ronald the Rover and Gerald the Giraffe and I don't know what the buffalo is called, Barry the Buffalo. And so, we're always naming our things after male creatures, which I thought was a valid point, although of course this is very much a male giraffe skeleton, or head, not his skeleton. With those ossicones that thick, it's definitely a boy. So I thought, okay, we'll rename the buffalo, but that's also definitely a boy. Right, I thought, okay, well these all have horns, so they're all definitely boys, because there's impalas over there. They are all male, and all male impala have horns, unless they've broken them off completely. Right, so we can't name them a girl, so I went on to the waterbuck. Same story. So after giving it some serious thought, this warthog might have been not a boy, but it probably was. With that massive tusk, generally the tusks of the male warthogs are thicker and larger than those of the females. Alright, okay, I thought, well, we'll move on to the next one. So I thought, okay, tortoises. Finally, we've got some tortoise shells. This one's a boy, and I'll explain to you how I know that in a second. But our saving grace shall be this particular tortoise shell, and she can be called Tabitha. This is Tabitha the tortoise. That was the only name I could think of beginning with a T, so if your name is Tabitha at home, please don't be cross with me. It's not meant to be offensive. So, how do I know what is a boy and what is a girl tortoise? Well, this is more for newer viewers, because I think our regular viewers are very much familiar with this whole process. We'll start with the boy tortoise. So the boy tortoise, and this is a leopard tortoise shell, by the way. The bottom part of the shell, the plastron, is slightly curved inwards. So if I turn this ever so slightly, it's got an inward curve here. Concave. Right. That of a female tortoise, you'll have to excuse me for the explanation behind this, the female tortoise is completely flat and level. See what I mean? It's level. Right, and the reason behind that is one that is the reason behind little baby tortoises. So in order to mate with the female, the male has to balance himself on top of her. That is not always an easy thing to do if you're made of very slippery shells with very, very slippery outer coatings. And so the slight curve of the bottom of the male shell is made so that he can sort of attempt to balance on top of the females. I'm not going to give you a demonstration, that would be silly, but you get the idea. And watching tortoises mate is actually quite a complicated process. The male makes a lot of very strange sounds and often scrabbles and very, very often falls off. We're very glad they're not. And looking at these tortoise shells gives us a really wonderful opportunity to examine a lot more about their anatomy, because of course they've got one of the most bizarre systems of all of the vertebrates, because it is a vertebrate. It has a backbone, and it has a skeletal structure like a vertebrate, but it's got this amazing fused shell. And you can actually see how the bones of the shell fit together like, as Eggsy described it, puzzle pieces. Now what I'm going to attempt to do is show you what happens. I'm going to try and decide. I think it's going to be easiest with the boy, unfortunately. So Timothy the tortoise, is going to be the easier one. And I'm going to sit down because otherwise I'm going to shake. And then it's going to be tragic. Now let's try this. So, got the light and the microscope on. And what I'm going to show you is... Oh no, I'm not. Oh goodness, this takes some practice. There we go. Might be a little bit over bright actually. That is the vertebra of the tortoise fused to the top of the shell, and you can see where the ribs fuse as well to the bony structure that is the shell. Let me try refocus ever so slightly. Oh, Jamie, you're shaking too much. No more coffee before tent sessions. There you go. That's one of the little vertebrae. You see that? Yeah. Oh, goodness. No more shakes. Oh, good. It's all gone wrong. There we go. That's what I was after. See where the vertebra fused to the ribs? How cool is that? That is why I love tortoises. Yeah, let me try and stop shaking. It's amazing. I had no idea that my hands shook that much. Anyway, moving on. How do I... Oops. Now one more thing, if Kirsty doesn't object to my talking about it, is the shell itself. And of course we've got this perfect example of the bony understructure, and what are known as the keratin scutes. And I recently, whilst watching quiz programs with Brent, because that is how we spend our free time, is watching trivia quiz shows, found out that, and I assume it's from the same word, Roman shields were called scutum. Scutums? If my pronunciation is wrong, and those of you out there who are still speaking Latin, perhaps there's one or two of you about, probably not though. Those of you that do have a better pronunciation of Latin, I think it's scutum, were Roman shields. So that's obviously where the origin of the name for the scutes comes from, I assume, as a shield around the tortoise. So there you go. A linguistic lesson, unless I've got that connection completely wrong, but I don't think so. S-C-U-T-E-S and S-C-U-T-U-M. It's got to be the same origin. The same thing, it's a shield. It's a tortoise shield. So there you go. This tortoise, Timothy, and Tabitha, they're basically Roman soldiers. Or not. So I'm going to pop Timothy, oh no, that's Tabitha, and Timothy back in their places on their shelves before I drop them. While I do that, it looks as though that, lost my microphone. It looks as though we have Tayla's repositioned for those lions. Let's go back over to her.
We have repositioned everybody. We've got a little bit of a view, and please excuse me, I may be looking a little bit pale. The smell or the reek of this buffalo is horrific. I don't have a weak stomach, however, this is seriously pushing my limits, and as Brian just pointed out, there's obviously lots of flies. We all know where they've been sitting, on a rotting carcass, so I'm hiding my face like this because I don't want them to sit in my nose or on my lips, knowing where they've been sitting and what they've been feeding on, which is quite disgusting actually. So I think we're going to have a look at the lions again, because I'm pulling some seriously funny faces. So Aaron, just to get back to your question, I apologize for the delay and I hope you're still watching. Aaron wants to know, would we have a chance of seeing any palm nut vultures? Now Aaron, unfortunately not. However, if you go a little bit further southeast of where we are, so sort of towards, I reckon if you went even along maybe the coast of Mozambique, you'd see some. But here in South Africa, if you go to the east coast of South Africa, so an area around Cozy Bay, you'll most likely find some palm nut vultures. And you can also see them in Zambia, Angola, and a few more of the northern African countries. But unfortunately, we're a little bit just too far west. They're not common here at all. But I've actually never seen a palm nut vulture before. That would be really beautiful to have a look. So we found the lions, obviously, as you've been looking at them, and you can see that they are sleeping. My least favorite thing in the world. However, some of you maybe have never seen lions before, and this could be the first time that you're actually looking at a lion. So we will watch them sleep for a little bit and see, maybe they do decide to get up and move around slightly. Those cubs are often, or at this age, they're quite playful. So this is the Nkuhuma Pride, for those of you who have never seen or watched the show. And they are the dominant pride in this area. So it consists of 5 adult females and 8 cubs, varying of different ages. I think the youngest are Well, when would they said they were born in May? Or no, I can't remember now. I have to get my notebook out, which I didn't bring with me. Or did I? No, maybe I left it behind. I was very busy this afternoon. Oh, there we go. We've got a little bit of movement, but some of them are about 5 weeks. This is one of the older cubs that we're looking at now. Just a stretch, false alarm. Hopefully the little one wakes up and goes and jumps on everybody else and encourages them to wake up too. But after they've had a big meal, like a buffalo, and actually I think they killed 2 buffalo if I'm not mistaken. You can imagine they have got massive bellies. Brian, have a look. Can you see that crested francolin, which is very daring? Sorry, apparently this is the six pride that killed the 2 buffalo. These chaps only got 1. Look at this crested francolin. It's probably about 1.2 meters away from one of the female lions. You can see there. Look at that. So close. And just sneaking around. I wonder where it's going. Oh, in some elephant dung. In some elephant dung. No, not pecking around there. Still moving. Ryan wants to know, Ryan, actually, thank you so much for the comment. You said that this is really well done, and you're wondering if it's live. Yes, it is in fact live. I'll even cough for you. There we go, my pathetic cough, just to prove that we are live at the moment. And we're looking at this little francolin at the moment, this little crested francolin who is being extremely daring and moving through the Nkuhuma Pride. Now, what I'm quite excited about, and we've been seeing this over the past few days actually, the crested francolins making an appearance to the Pride of Lions, walking straight towards the cubs. Now, the cubs are at a very curious age. They're not hunting with their parents yet. They're still really learning the technique of hunting. So they're playing with each other and biting. And now I want to see if any one of them is going to pop their heads up. Now, this bird is being very quiet. It's tiptoeing like the Pink Panther across the stage. Oh, come on. Wouldn't it be funny if this little one went and pecked a paw? Come on, look over your shoulder. Oh, I can't believe it. You are very brave. You must have done this a few times, I think, crested francolin. Looking for little seeds. Come on, there we go. Have you seen? Oh, no. Ah, not even showing any interest. I thought that they would have jumped at this opportunity to perhaps chase this little bird. Obviously, their bellies are too full with mom's milk and buffalo. Look at that. Not sure. Got a little bit nervous. You're going, no, I'm going to go around this way rather. Okay. Now you've got some cover of trees. I'm sure you feel very brave in there. And still, no one really even cares if this little bird is walking around. If I was a little lion cub, I would have chased it. But one is looking. Have a look there, but not really too interested. Just sort of like, meh, okay. It's a bird. I need to get some sleep. I'm full, I'm exhausted. I've had a long day of playing, eating, and drinking. What you're going to do is stretch. You can actually see all the flies buzzing around these poor lions. Look at them. I don't know if I could be an animal with all the flies. Dana, hello Dana. So Dana, it's quite a nice question you've asked there. I haven't been asked that for a long time. Dana wants to know, how long does it take, or when will a male lion start to show that it's growing a mane, basically, reworded slightly different. So even with these little ones now, you should start to see a little bit longer hair on sort of the chest, just under the chin. Which is quite easy, but anywhere from about 2 years, you'll start to see it. You can tell the difference quite nicely between a male and a female lion. However, that mane will continue growing till they're about 6.5 years old, when they're sort of reaching the prime of their life. And it doesn't just grow on their chest, it stretches all the way up and around their neck and even down to their elbows. So it sort of goes over their shoulders. And then it creeps round, and then on their elbows they'll get this tuft of hair, which you'll normally see goes nice and dark when they reach about 6 years old. And that mane should join Obviously, it all depends on genetics as well. I've seen some male lions with no manes before. I've seen male lions with very small manes, and then I've seen others with manes like my hair. Here we go, and doing a lovely stretch. Right, just you're going to sit, you're going to turn around, you're going to flop onto your sibling. What are you going to do? Oh, I think that they're staring at that Franklin now, because you see the one that's just behind the one that's laid down is looking down towards the drainage line. Obviously, we can't see very well, but I think that's what's happening. Showing a little bit of interest. Yes, yes, definitely seen the Franklin. Here we go. Look at the little legs tucking underneath its bum like it's getting ready to pounce. However, I do think that this bird is safe. I don't think these cubs are quite quick enough or have the technique to be able to catch a bird. And just from the way that Franklin was moving around here, I don't think it was its first rodeo. I think it's done this many, many times and knows how to quietly move around lions. What are you going to do? Go on. Go jump and get some energy. You can see how quickly they get distracted though. Concentrating on the bird, and then sibling shakes its head. Oh, what's that? Got to focus on that. I'm so glad to at least see one is maybe going to be a keen hunter. Did it go down? I didn't see. It's gone now. Mom, one of the moms, laying nicely. Look how well camouflaged she is. You almost couldn't see her. This time of the year, the lions really do have an advantage, not only because there's very little water around and it's quite dry and animals are dying, but they blend into the vegetation so well too, that tawny color. So Heidi, hello. You have asked us, what age will the cubs start hunting? So I feel so sorry for the adults, I must tell you this. It's my favorite time of a lion's life when they start to join out on the hunt. So anywhere from about 1.5 years, the adults will actually start taking them with them. However, they're obviously not going to be involved in bringing a big buffalo down. They're sort of there to just watch and observe and learn. However, the cubs are very excited and very keen, much more keen than what they've just sort of shown towards that bird. They don't really care about that. They know that they've got mom to catch everything for them and they can always drink some milk, so they're not too bothered. But when they get older, they start to realize that, if mom doesn't catch anything, we don't get to eat anything because she's not producing milk. So they go out and they sit there and they watch in the distance. Now, the reason why I said to you it's my favorite time of a lion's life is because they get so excited and they cannot wait. They jump up before they're supposed to. They do something they're not supposed to do and then ruin the hunt. Now, lions aren't the most successful hunters as is. They have to rely on getting quite close to their prey in order to have a good chance. So it's quite hysterical to sit and watch it, and you can just see the frustrated look on mom's face. So mom, then when they eventually catch, say if they're hunting buffalo, because in the sands the lions tend to eat buffalo quite a bit, so they'll watch, and once that mom has gotten hold, or the pride has gotten hold of a buffalo, they will then run on in and bite on the ankles, not really do anything, but it's just important to be there to learn different biting techniques. And once they've brought it to the ground completely, then you might find the little ones trying to bite on the jugular, bite on the muzzle, and as they get older they will get better. This one is fast asleep though. You can see this one's maybe just dreaming of hunting. I'm just going to let everybody know that I've got the lions, just to update them, because I hear game drive vehicles are starting to get active. Afternoon mobiles, I'm on lock with the Nkuhuma Shlambi. Vingonyam, we're just off Bari Katlan, same lock as one lock. Just let them know that I am here, in case anybody was interested in the lions. You can see mom's popped her head up now. Wonder what she's seen. I'm so happy as well. The wind has turned again, so we're not inhaling buffalo carcass anymore. So it was terrible. I almost thought I was going to get sick. It's not a nice smell. But as guides, we get strong stomachs. I reckon that these lions are maybe going to feed a little bit longer tonight, and I reckon by tomorrow morning they're most likely going to move off. There's not very much left on that carcass. So for those of you who are just joining in, welcome everybody. You are live on an African adventure. We are here watching the Nkuhuma Pride as they sleep. They've got full bellies because they killed a buffalo a few days ago, and these are some of their little cubs. There are 5 female lionesses and 8 little cubs of various ages. Good afternoon to you too. Wakey wakey. So if anybody has got any questions, once again for the new viewers, you can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter and send us any comments or anything that you'd like to ask us, and then questions at WildEarthTV. So Brian would like to know what the lifespan of a lion is. This is quite an interesting topic. So it varies. I think you know, in our books that people have written that the animals don't read, they say that a female lion will live approximately 13 or 14 years, and they say that male lions live for about 10, I think 11 years an absolute max. Like I said, the animals do not read the books, and that's so important, and that's one of the most amazing things about being here in the bush, is that you see all these things that sometimes aren't even true. So I've personally, let me start again. I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied. I probably need a little bit of water to wet the mouth. So when I was down in the southern sectors of Sabi Sands, there's a pride called the Southern Pride, which is quite a big pride. And there was one female who was 15 years old, and she's actually got 2 little cubs at the moment. So can you believe it? The books now have said they live between 13 and 14 years, and this female lion is 15 and as healthy as anything. The only thing is her teeth have worn down a little bit. That's actually what gives her age. So when she does a big yawn, you can see that her canines have worn down quite a bit. Other than that, she's fantastic. She's in such good condition. She's hunting. She does everything. She's got 2 little babies, so she can't be doing too badly. And then I watched a documentary. I've forgotten what it was called, but I think it was based in Namibia. And there was a female lion that lived to 17 years old. 17, that's old. So I'm not going to give an exact age of how long female lions live for. So firstly, I reckon anywhere between 13 and 16 years old. That's 30, or even maybe 17, I suppose you could push it. But every lion is different. You know, it's like humans. Some of us only live to 60 years old. Some push it to about 80. Some people even live to 110. Then we've got the male lions. Now that's a whole mother. Oh my goodness. Wow, male lions. Shame. They have an unfortunate life. As you can imagine, it's really, really tough for the boys. They can make it to about 2 years old, 2.5 years, just before they get about to get kicked out of the pride. Great. Life only gets worse from there. They now get chased away from their family. The dominant males in the group say, right, cheerio, off you go. And they've got to go and live in between other lions' territories to try and survive. So they can't make a permanent home. They're not old enough to try and mate with the females. They're not big enough to try and take over any other males for their territory. So it's very tough. So they sort of just roaming around, visiting here for a few days, going there for a few days, visiting all the different backpackers basically. So they're traveling the world, I suppose you could say. Then once they get old enough, once they get to about 4.5 years, 5 years old, they're sort of nice and big. Their manes haven't quite filled out yet. They may have a chance of taking over a really old male. So say a male that's reaching right at the end of his life. So maybe it's a male that's 10 or 11 years old. He's quite old. He's been through many battles. He's tired. So then, a perfect opportunity for the flies. I don't want the flies in my mouth. And so you're going to be seeing me doing kung fu-like moves this afternoon. So then he'll go and he'll try and take over that male. It could either end up being very positive for him. He could actually kill that male or injure him and push him out. Otherwise, that big male's going to turn around, either chase him away or, on the unfortunate side, may even kill him. So it's a tough life. So I reckon male lions, this is also obviously just my opinion, male lions are in their prime, about 6, 7 years old, maybe even pushing it to 8, and they're having a great time, and they're big strong boys, nice big strong muscles, seeing all the ladies. And then when they start to sort of hit 9, 10 years old, that's when they become quite tired off, and they leave prides and they go and live a life of solitary. Maybe I've even seen it where they've joined up with another male that's also at the end of their time, and they live out their days together. Obviously 2 lions is better than 1. So there we go. That's my opinion on the age of male lions and female lions. What are these guys up to? Still nothing. Still just sleeping. I think we're going to just sit here for a little bit longer, but we're about to see Jamie's artistic side.
My artistic side. So, when I was a biology student, I used to do the most immaculate diagrams. They were perfect, and that was because they were traced from the textbook. And then I used to make myself label them. Turns out it's a lot harder to do from A, memory, and B, standing and trying to draw things. So we'll start with the digitigrade foot posture, which is what we're going into. We're doing an anatomy lesson. An anatomy lesson. I was going to, in case you just made me laugh more, an anatomy lesson. And it was going to start with the lion's paw, because of course you're looking at those wonderful lions with a tailor. This is the lion's paw. It's all gone wrong. Right, so turns out I didn't leave myself enough time to figure this all out. So this is the digitigrade foot posture. Just do that. Right. Plantigrade foot posture, on the other hand, I feel as though I've got down. Let me put my pen back here. Love the pen pot, by the way. This is fantastic. Right, so what we're going to talk about is foot structures and the way that they're adapted for the different things that we do. So we'll start with ours, and that's eventually going to lead me to the point where I try and put a giraffe leg bone combination together. We all work in essentially the same way. We've just looked at the tortoise. They're a weird exception to a general rule, to the way that we're structured. What that means is that when you look at a lion or an antelope or an elephant, their joints bend in the same way. If it's our wrist, it goes like this. If it's our elbow, it goes like this. And shoulder, and vice versa. You get the idea. So we'll start off with what's known as the plantigrade foot structure. That is a human structure. Human, bear, as far as I know, and primates, the way that they are structured. So you've got your phalanges on your hand, so your finger bones, and then you've got your phalanges, and then you've got your carpals. Then you've got these weird combination of wrist bones, all have different names and they're very messy. That's a beautiful representation of a wrist. I do hope you appreciate that. Then you have got your radius and your ulnar, so these bones along here. And then you have got your humerus, which extends from your elbow to your shoulder. Feet, essentially the same thing, just with phalanges, metatarsals, tibia, fibia, femur. Right. In human beings, that's our basic structure. That's what allows us to walk flat-footed and indeed walk upright. Not a very quiet way to go, and probably one of the most basic of the foot structures, actually. Then we've got our wonderful predators. And that I'm going to draw for you at some point, I promise. It won't look like that. I haven't even got to the elephant yet. Wait till I do the elephant. It's going to be groundbreaking. They're going to hang this up one day. One day, many, many years from now, as a work of modern art. And it's going to be like one of those modern art pictures that people go, why on earth is this in a museum? Anyway, moving on. I should sign it at the end. It's about, I cannot draw this on the go. It's going to be disastrous. I'm just checking there isn't a buffalo coming. It's not a buffalo, it's a dust devil. Thank goodness. So a lion's foot structure is essentially the same thing. What's amazing about it is the extension of the carpals. They're extended right upwards to create essentially a situation where a lion walks on its tiptoes. And I promise I will try and draw that for you. And this was all meant to lead us up to the giraffe bones, but I didn't finish because it's all gone wrong. Surprisingly difficult to do from memory. So what I figured was I'm going to go and gather the giraffe bones and let's give this a go. So we've got, and this is definitely the front leg, and we can figure out it's the front leg because we can figure out which way around it goes. This is going to be a disaster. I'm going to drop a giraffe bone on my head. They're really heavy. And we start with these guys. I know what I'm going to do. You stay there. This is the equivalent of a carpal. They're fused in hoofed animals because they walk on their tiptoes even more than we do. So this is the basic carpal. There'd be a couple of little foot joints here, phalanges fused together to form the hoof, and the giraffe would stand like this. So carpals, this is the equivalent of an elephant's hand bone. How ridiculous is that? Look at the size of it. Comparatively, up to mid-thigh on me. I'm 5'7". Then we've got the first joint after that, which is, oh, sorry, no, I'm being silly. First joint after that, which is the wrist. And that would be, stay there. Here we go. So that is a giraffe leg. Wrist here. Oh, so it bends like our wrists. It bends that way. Not that way, otherwise it's a broken wrist. Cool? Right. That should be it, right? No. Because this is a giraffe's elbow. Hello. Elbow here. Elbow this way. So, wrist, elbow. I can't get myself that high. Wait for it. This is exhausting. This is it. Giraffe humerus. We think. It's all a little bit confusing. Right, now let me just figure out which way this goes in. This would be, it's like a puzzle, but really big and quite heavy. So those two slot in there. Elbow. Imagine that moves smoothly, which it would do. Now, shall we try and get this all together? This is going to be disastrous. Dave thinks yes. Oh, Dave's here, by the way. Dave's taken over. Eggsy had to do something else, so Dave's here. Dazzling Dave. Oh, no, we go this way. Okay. Stay. Right. I don't know. I probably need several. No, we got to do this one at the same time. Okay. Here we go. Ta-da! Giraffe leg. How amazing is that? From foot to shoulder. It's really very tall, it's also really very heavy, and I have a vague feeling that it's going to fall on my head. You get the idea? Yep. You do? You don't want me to hold this for any longer? No, I really don't. Okay, we're going down again. Ooh. Should have, done some exercise. So do some bicep curls. Yeah, there we go. I think I'll stop there and pick up the pen again. Right. Here's the way giraffe legs work. Front leg bends just like ours does. I'm going to go relax and swoon back in my chair. No, I'm not. I'm going to go and finish this drawing so I can explain it all properly. Let's go back to Tayla and those lions.
Welcome back, everybody. We are watching the Nkuhuma Pride, who are fast asleep. We have had one of the little cubs get up and move away, but the sun came out from behind a cloud and blasted them with a ray of light, and I think that made them quite hot. It got them cooking. So one of them moved up, and I assume that basically from the lines that we're looking at now, we can't see the others, but far to the right, I think that's where the rest of the adult females are laying, because we can really only see 2 females. Radio, come on now. We've got another ray of sunshine again. Do you think we're going to get them to move? I wonder. Just see a little glimpse of action. See how that sun has come through the clouds, and it's considerably hotter when the sun comes out, especially that they have been shaded quite nicely by the clouds. So it is encouraging them to cook. You can see that little one is breathing quite quickly. I think it's a combination of being hot now, because it wasn't breathing that fast earlier, as well as having quite a full belly. There we go. A big stretched. Oh, 2 bums. There's a Bums of Africa shot, everybody. Remember, I'm doing a fun calendar type thing. So if you get any good bum shots, please take a screen capture. And you are welcome to tag me in your Twitter post. My account is Tay_McCurdy. So that's TAY_MCCURDY. And hopefully we'll try and make a calendar of some sort, maybe for next year, a little desktop calendar. But we'll see. I'm still working on the idea and building up a collection of photographs, so please send them in. And while we were off, we had the smell of the buffalo again. Valeria, I absolutely love that. Valeria thinks we should call the calendar not Bums of Africa. Oh, no, I forgot. Sorry. What was it again? I got so excited I had a good giggle. Bumming around in Africa. I like that. I need to take note. Valeria, take a screen capture and please put that on Twitter so I can have a look and remember it a little bit later. I have misplaced my notebook, so I cannot write it down. And I fear sometimes I have the memory of a goldfish that I will forget it. But yes, please remember. So if you have any questions for us now, though, remember we are live. So you can either hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can email us at questions@wildearth.tv. No, I don't care about the sun anymore. They are pooped full. Chitra wants to know if, and Chitra, you're from India. Fantastic. What's the weather like there? Share with us what the weather is like. It's nice to know what we're dealing with. Anyway, Chitra wants to know, is the hunting behavior learnt, or is it sort of inherited? Is it natural instinct? I think it's a little bit of both. So little lion cubs don't go out to see their parents hunt for a long time. So it's natural. It's like your house cat at home. Very curious about quick movement, and it's just natural instinct. Obviously, natural instinct is not enough. So they do need to learn on top of that. They need to learn different killing techniques, little techniques on when should they attack, when should they wait, patience, a whole lot of different things that they need to consider. So yes, I think it's a bit of both actually. Instinctual in the beginning of, curious about movement and what's that, what's this, can I catch that? And then it progresses into being learned behavior, which they learn from various different members of the pride, play fighting. So when you see them roughing around and pushing each other over, biting by the scruff of the neck and pulling, don't just think of it's all fun and games. It is all vital sort of learning for them to be able to one day bring down a big buffalo like their mothers bring down. Let's see, what are they doing? Still nothing. Still sleeping. I cannot believe it. Aqua wants to know if I've ever heard of a single male lion ruling a territory. Aqua, yes I have. Actually, down south in the southern sectors of the Sabi Sand, there was a male lion called Solo who actually was the dominant male for the Southern Pride. I don't think he was there for too long, but he did at one point mate with all the females, and then different lions came through and took over. But one male lion, it's not uncommon. However, up in here in the Sabi Sands, it's quite nice. They do tend to have lots of coalitions of males, and quite big coalitions too. Obviously the very famous Mapojos, who were 6 male lions. We've got the Birminghams, who are now 4 male lions, and a variety. The Charlestons are 2 very big boys. There's lots and lots of different male lions. In Zambia, when I was up there for a little bit, we actually tend to see mainly male lions on their own. I didn't really see any coalitions at all, though. Unfortunately, their lion populations weren't great in the Lower Zambezi National Park. Hui. So I'm trying to catch an insect for you, but I don't have my net with me. My trusty net, which I made, and is very effective for catching insects, despite what James has to say. We got another little cub that moved around and then sat down. How exciting. So if anybody remembers, I made that wonderful comment about preferring to watch grass grow or paint dry or anything else than watch sleeping lions. But I'm being hopeful, and I'm also just trying to keep in mind that everybody loves little lion cubs, and some of you have never seen lions for the first time. Hello, Hayden. Hayden wants to know what's the biggest coalition of males I've seen with a pride. I need to think about this. Probably I've actually only ever seen really two males in a as a coalition with ruling a pride. I haven't seen the Birminghams all together. So for me, it's only 2 male lions. However, I have seen quite a few, or actually not quite a few. There's this one up-and-coming pride called the Eastern Bank, which is 5 male lions. They're coming from eastern sector of Kruger and were moving into the sort of the southern sector of the Sabi Sands. And that's actually quite exciting because I think that they will take over. Hopefully they move into the Sabi Sands. They were lurking, like I was saying earlier, lurking in between territories, so that will be quite exciting to have 5 male lions. However, it can also be quite catastrophic because they will go through and they might not just run one pride of females because there's so many. They may take over 3 or 4 different coalitions of males and take over their prides as well, like what the Mapojos did, and that's not always good. That will mean a lot of the cubs will die, unfortunately, and the females will all have to come back in estrus, and unfortunately some females may die in the process too. But these are young boys. I think they've still got another 2.5 years or so of growing before they can even think of challenging any of the other males. But it's quite exciting. A name to remember, Eastern Bank Pride, or the coalition of males. They'll get there. They'll be big, strong ones. You just see the bums disappearing down the bank. Oh no, coming back around again. Oh, look what I've got. What have I got? Have I got a stick? I've got a stick. Who wants to play with my stick? Anybody? No, I'm just going to play with it by myself. Chewing away. Older ones not even bothered. Just looking up occasionally at the camera, saying, hello everybody, hello viewers. Yes, I'm very excited now that this one little cub has picked up a piece of wood and is now playing with it. Hopefully it will encourage the rest to get up and start moving. There we go. How sweet is that? An upside down lion. Madam Jamie, I don't know if she's still drawing. I can't wait to see some of her artwork a little bit later. But while we wait for these little lions to wake up, let's go and see what she's got to show us.
I am so impressed by Madam Jamie. I feel as though I've inspired fear in Tayla somehow. It's the first time I've ever been called Madam. But we'll move on a little bit from that. And I want to introduce you to a tree. This is a flat tire tree, also known as a zebra wood. It's one of the hardest woods that we get out here. Luckily for us, it grows in sort of these relatively small spindly bushes. You do sometimes get them much, much bigger, but in this case we have a little one. And what I want to show you first, so that you can sort of memorize on this tree, and it's going to be a conversation that we're going to carry through, is its weaponry, because that is what makes a zebra wood instantly recognizable. It has spines on it, and a spine, remember, is not a thorn. A thorn is a modified leaf, a spine is a modified branch. So a leaf still has a little bit of chlorophyll. Sorry, I went completely blank there. Whereas a spine is a modified branch, so it's essentially a piece of wood. And if we look at it, this particular tree has lethal ones. And it doesn't help, of course, that this is extremely, extremely hard wood. So, okay, I can snap it. That was a smallish one. I can snap it, but it could very easily puncture something like a tire. And I have no doubt that if there was a direct step on it, it could actually even pierce the skin of something like an elephant's foot and actually do it some serious damage. Which is why you often see them, they'll walk around a zebra wood rather than step on it. Yes, they do have incredibly tough feet, that's unusual, but it could happen. Now they've got these unbelievably solid, and they've got, if we look for a good example, where's a good example now? I've said that and now I've lost. They've got spines from spines. In other words, often you'll find on a zebra wood, the spine itself will have little ones going off it. And this is a plant that says, "Don't touch me." It's sort of got "Don't touch me" written all over it. As an interesting aside, it's called a zebra wood because its wood has this beautiful dark and light coloured grain to it, if you get a nice big branch. Right, I'm going to grab onto the much more agreeable silver cluster leaf and stand up. By the way, I haven't forgotten about my foot project. I'll get back to that. So, the reason I wanted to tell you about all of this, Dave, has James tripped over these yet? At least once. So I'm winning so far. I haven't tripped over them just yet. I shouldn't have said that. The reason I wanted to bring that up in the zebra wood as a whole is because if I stand in this room, and I've got the advantage of having this with fresh eyes, looking at this with fresh eyes, and pretty much everything in this room, apart from the massive bones, is about weaponry of some description. From our buffalo with his mammoth horns, our kudu skull with its mammoth horns, our impala, our buffalo again, and our waterbuck, and of course things like the land snail shells, for example. Aha. James Richard, on a different aside, I'll come back to my weaponry conversation in a moment. James Richard said, what name shall we give the snails, since, you know, they're hermaphroditic in a way. They're not quite hermaphroditic, but they have both male and female reproductive parts. That's the way that they work. So, I'm thinking, what's a Jamie? Lots of boys called Jamie and girls called Jamie. How about Francis? Is a sort of a, is that a name you could use both ways? Alex! Alex, there we go. So, I don't think I can name a land snail after me, that's a bit cocky. So we'll say Alex, and Francis. Is Francis a... I suppose it is. I'm so sorry if I've insulted somebody somewhere along the line of this conversation. I just realised I've still got this in my hair. I picked it up outside to add to our collection. Beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? Absolutely stunning. We'll have a conversation about this in a moment. I'll pop it there. But back away from our naming the snails, and the very valid point that James Richard raised, and it was a very, very valid point. I hadn't thought of that. So everything's about a lot of, okay, not everything, a lot of things are about fighting or defending the animal. Well, our warthog tusk, particularly, of course, as you know, the lower tushes of the warthog tusk, the tusks that grow from the bottom jaw, they're particularly sharp. Should I move the packet? Sorry, Dave. There we go. A packet full of feathers. Oh, I should have put it in there. Let's see, I haven't even discovered all of the mysteries that are in here. Ooh. Sorry for everybody, this is not a James Hendry's polished performance. He does do it terribly well. I am still discovering things, and my train of thought is jumping everywhere. Okay, we'll come back to our weaponry discussion. But tortoise shells, horns, thorns, everything evolved for a reason. Now, we have elephants, apparently, at the Juma Dam Pan. And the first thing I'm going to do is take control of the Juma Dam Pan. This could be utterly disastrous. Whichever Zoomy we have on duty at the moment, I am so sorry for whatever I'm about to do. I will make sure I take the blame. Right, Gerald. Where does Gerald live? Does Gerald live somewhere? Let's just pop Gerald there. Sorry, Gerald, you're in my way. Let's have a look at what's happening at the pan. Kirsty says there's some elephants. As an interesting aside, I can't take control of it because it seems to have frozen. Oh, there we go. We'll have a look at the elephants at the pan. Oh, look at the little one. I love how they always pick the trickiest spot to drink at. Well done, little one. Didn't go falling in or tumbling in. These are the ones stretching forward, using their trunks to sort of get past the reinforcements at the back of the dam wall. There goes little one in for a drink. Oh, that wasn't a nice trunk full of water. Next one. Dangling precariously. Oh my goodness, acrobatics there. I'm most impressed. You could take elephant yoga lessons. Be a whole different style. Dangling its toes in the water. Oh, and back up again. Little hop, skip and a jump. Important to remember that just because they look huge and lumbering does not mean that they are not agile creatures. And I've often said this. Anywhere that you can go on your own 2 feet, an elephant can go as well. I mean, without you having to climb. Oh, something startled that cow. Look at that. What was that all about? Look at them go. Panic! 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 Oh my goodness, mass panic. Run, little one, run. It's all right. Oh, shame. And another thing about elephants, they are not slow creatures. You cannot outrun an elephant. So, what on earth do you think startled those elephants? I have a theory. I think it was the dove. I think the turtle dove fluttered past, made a noise, and the elephants got a fright. I've seen them run away from impala before. Some of you have as well, because you were watching. It was on one of our live safaris. It was with Genre on camera. And an impala startled an entire elephant herd, and they disappeared like that. I want to watch some more now. I'm completely distracted. I'd love to know what scared them. I'm sure our Zoomy will do a wonderful job of double-checking around. I think it was the dove. I really do. That was an interesting little session. This is so much fun. It's all completely different to what I'm used to. Right, moving on from our lovely elephants drinking at the pan and their agility and the amazing... Elephants, of course, sort of run contrary to the conversation I was having earlier. Oh, no, they don't. They've also got tusks. They've got enormous tusks in certain cases. A lot of it almost to the point they're so big they're almost just for show for those massive tuskers of the Kruger National Park. Whereas with the females, it's more of a tool than anything else, but they can use them as a defense. The point that I was getting to with all of this conversation about the tusks and the horns and the shells and the thorns is I want to know, and I kind of want your help as well with this. I want to know whether you have any theories behind it. And I really have only just thought of it now, and I'm actually quite ashamed of myself that that is the case. Why does the zebra wood look the way it looks? Why is this the standard acacia approach to things? Long, thinnish, whitish thorns. We know what thorns are for. They're to make the plant less edible. And yet, nothing out here seems particularly bothered by it, do they? Because the elephants just chomp away. The kudu and the impala chomp around it. Why is it that the acacias evolved to have a straight white thorn? The black monkey orange and the knob thorn, they're probably the most horrible, speaking from experience in terms of getting trapped in things. Why do they have hooked thorns, shortish hooked thorns, very sharp, by the way, don't touch them, not very pleasant at all. Why do they have those? And then, why does a buffalo thorn have a combination of both? What is it? Oh, I'm so scared I'm going to wreck this nest and put my hand under it. What is it about the sort of the hooked straight thorn combination? Why do different trees have different thorn structures? Is it just an evolutionary thing that was what suited them at the time? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I'm asking you guys. You can, of course, always send that through to #SafariLive on Twitter, or you can email through to questions@WildEarthTV. And that's something that I'm very interested in. What do you think, Dave? Do you have any idea?
I wonder.
I've got no idea. I can't believe that I've never thought of that before, because it's a valid question. I will tell you that no matter what you get stuck in, and just ask Jerry, because today Jerry came to me, poor thing, desperately seeking assistance in order to remove the buffalo thorn that was trapped in her leg. And it was very deeply in there, and I didn't manage to help her out at all. So now I'm attempting to look at what it is that makes those thorns so dreadfully itchy, what they look like under the microscope, and I'm doing a shocking job of it. It's all gone wrong. No. It has a sticking point. Aha! There we go. Sort of. So I can only assume, here you go, in case you wanted a really close-up view of the nasty-looking black monkey orange, and I've just scratched myself with it, and I can safely say that it is thoroughly unpleasant. A close-up view of a black monkey orange thorn. And you can see, if you look closely, there we go, little sort of fibers almost of wood on the outside, and I guess that's what makes them so terribly itchy when you've got them in the skin. It's just a thought I had, really, about what it is that makes certain weaponry suitable for some things and suitable for others. And the same question applies to the shape of horns. So what is it that led to the evolution of the kudu's spiraling horns and the buffalo's outward-facing, sort of almost battering ram-shaped horns? And then, of course, the massive waterbuck behind us. What is it that led to the evolution that was the horn shape that was chosen? I really have absolutely no idea. And Dave, do you have any idea what Kirsty's trying to say to us?
I think she said we should link.
Aha! That is what she said. She said that we can send you guys back over to Taylor with those lines.
Finally, we got some action, everybody. So while you were chatting away, or watching Jamie as she chatted about the evolution of horns, we managed to get a female move away and come towards that very stinky buffalo kill, which we are smelling every now and then. The wind is swirling extensively today, which is unfortunate for myself and Brian. Even the thumb is feeling a little bit sick, and sharks can eat pretty nasty things too, I'm sure. So a lot of you must be wondering, when Brian zooms in on this, just have a look here. How can a lion eat a rotting carcass like that, especially if it's a few days old? Surely they must get sick. I mean, I don't think so if I was watching for the first time. But luckily I've been doing this for a while. Now, animals have got very, very different digestive systems to what we as humans have. We're not very good at sort of digesting rotting meats and things like that. We're quite sensitive to those bacteria. Now, a lion's digestive system works completely different. They can keep munching away on very, very old carcasses like what you're seeing, even maggot-infested carcasses. And if you look at the top right of your screen, you can actually see them wriggling around. Whoa, like that's so disgusting. Look at that. Flies are having absolute field day. Laid all their eggs have hatched, and now they're munching away too. And it's not just going to be maggots that are feeding on this carcass, or just lions. There's also going to be little carrion beetles, which will probably be underneath that we can't see, and many, many different other things. And while we've been sitting here, and over the last few days, we've had a few francolins coming past and sneaking around. At the beginning of the show, you may have remembered seeing Arethusa Franklin, because we have named her now. I wasn't sure if it was a male or a female, but we're going to go with Arethusa. Thanks, Brian. And that Franklin, I'm excited to actually see if it comes around again. It was apparently this morning, was sitting and waiting for the maggots to fall out of the nasal cavity of the buffalo, and was actually just picking them up. I mean, how clever is that? Like a little feeder of maggots. Delicious. Look at that. Oh, that is so gross. Hello, Safari Ginny. So, Safari Ginny, you want to know why there are no hyenas hanging around? Well, Ginny, it's because there are lions here at the moment. So, only once these lions move off, hyenas will come through. Remember, there's 5 females here. The Nkuhuma Pride consists of 5 adult females, and that's quite a terrorizing sort of presence. If it was maybe only one female lion, like we're seeing here, if it was just her that was on this kill, then possibly the hyenas may have come by. I've seen some hyena tracks going up and down, so probably last night they were lurking around in the distance and then realized, oh no, there's too many of us. So remember, strength in numbers, that's a very important thing to go by. And they're just munching away. There's a few different birds. There's a little Cape glossy starling that's now come through. The cubs are also waking up. The birds are coming in, I think, to feed on all those lovely maggots. And you see this little cub is grooming itself. That's very nice. Not relying on mom anymore to do all the hard work. Look at that. Isn't that golden light so beautiful? Remember, you are more than welcome, oh, big yawn, to take screenshots of this wonderful sighting. It's really, really nice light. So you're going to hear me snapping away, but I really want to just capture that lion as that little one looks up and you catch the golden light. Look at that little one over there. I just want to very quickly let the other guys know that the lions have started to wake up a little bit, because I want to be able to share the sighting with everybody, not just all the viewers at home, but there are also some people who are on safari for the first time, and I think it's only fair to let them have a look. But everybody seems to be looking for leopard this afternoon, so let's hope that they manage to find a leopard. Lovely. Very nice. Ah, look at that little one grooming away. I think their next move is actually going to be to get up and possibly join the one female on the carcass again. Have a look at the female that's eating again. Look at her. Oh, it's amber eyes. Ah, finally, guys. I've actually been able to see amber eyes properly. And wow, my goodness. We're going to go over and across there now. We're just panning around. But sorry, she's got